Hi, I'm Steve. This is Ray.
Hey, welcome to Ski Talk. I'm Ray Skelton. I work with Dalbello ski boots. I've been Steve's rep since 1993 with Dalbello. Steve is the buyer for skis.com, and he also goes by the title of Ski-EO. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Ray. I had 4 or 5 outtakes there. Ray covered for me. Get a little slip of the tongue. So we're going to talk about the Lotus ski boot from Dalbello. This is a super beefy, super high performance ladies boot. It's based on the Krypton shell, which is a famous shell that's been in the Dalbello line for years. And this is really the ladies version on it. So you want to tell us a little bit about this, Ray?
Sure. The Lotus is an awesome boot, and Kryptons in general for women are really great. And the thing that makes them so unique is the 3-piece shell design. So versus your classic overlap 4-buckle boots, the 3-piece shell has got your lower shell that starts out here, and the shell goes up to about this high. That gives you a lot of lateral power in the boot. The second part of it is the upper cuff, which has a really low hinge point, and that's one of the key features of a 3-piece boot. What also ties it all together is the tongue. And in the Lotus boot, you have a nylon tongue that's also ribbed. And what it does is it allows the tongue to flex freely. The ribbed tongue was actually designed in 1985 by a NASA engineer, the guy that developed the articulating arm, the elbow, and the knee joints in spacesuits. But what it does in a ski boot is it allows this boot to flex perfectly freely. It allows the tongue to flex and not distort the boot shell so the boot doesn't bulge and get bigger and fatter on your foot. Mm-hmm. So this, as Steve said, this is a lower volume boot. It's a 98 millimeter lasted boot. And one of the things that I find for women
lower
that walk
volume meaning narrower, much more performance fit.
Right, narrower legs, narrower feet, narrower ankle area. I find a lot of women that come into ski shops, and the whole industry is talking about making bigger boots to accommodate low calves and big legs and yada yada yada. And there are a lot of ladies that come in the store that need a fit like this. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one of the great things about this boot. The other thing that you'll see, which Steve and I were talking about off the camera earlier, is in conjunction with that ribbed tongue in the center rib right here, you have 3 buckles. The center buckle is attached here by the hinge point and over here by the hinge point. And what it does is it wraps and pulls your heel back in and locks you into the heel, unlike any boot has ever done for women.
Which I think is a huge advantage. My wife always has, women tend to have narrower heels, and this boot's really for a narrower fit, so they probably will have a narrower heel.
Right.
So often they'll get a lot of that heel lift. And it doesn't really help to tighten the upper buckles or the lower buckles. That doesn't bring the heel in. This one really does pull that heel back into that pocket.
Right. Now, the other thing about the Lotus is it's so adaptable for ladies' feet and ladies' legs. So I talked about that buckle right there, but the other thing that makes it really adaptable is the upper cuff only has 1 buckle right here. And if I have a woman with a very thin leg, very thin lower leg and thin calves, the boot's great out of the box. But what we do have is a spoiler built in here, a big wide spoiler. So if I have a lady that if you've got a lower calf, a more athletic calf, and you need more room, I can pull the spoiler out, which drops the boot by almost a full centimeter or ½ an inch in height, and gives me more volume for your leg.
But just for clarification, this is not for that person that really has a fit problem up there. Just gives a little more room, not as much as some of the other models in the Dalbello line.
But it's an amazing boot, and it fits so many different leg shapes. And lastly, because of the 3-piece shell design, when I open this up, this is what we call an open throat boot. So the top, this brown shell, and by the way, you were talking about this color we call coffee. It's just a really cool new color.
Yeah, I don't know if you can catch it on the camera, but it's a really good looking boot.
But when you open the tongue, over top of the shell, it's a big open slot. So the tongue opens up, your foot slips in this like slipping into a slipper. It's amazing.
Can you talk about the liner a little bit while you're in that part of it?
Sure. This is one of our True Fit liners, which is a heat moldable liner. It's called True Fit, and True Fit allows us to shape to your foot, over time, or be custom fit to your foot.
Okay.
I think you were probably the other direction you were heading here is along with that liner, this boot has got what we call C4 or Comfort 4 fit. This has got 4 key fit spots that give a lot of people problems in boot fit. We punch the ankle bone, punch the navicular bone, we punch the 6-toe area and above the heel. So if you've got those hot spots in your feet that normally have to be fit.
You punch the boot, not the bone, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just be clear. So it allows you to give, even though it's a narrow-lasted boot, allows you to give a little more room in the places where people typically have the most
Right.
problem. Now it's a 95 flex, so it's a stiffer boot as women's boots go, and,
Right.
and there's also the ability to stiffen it up even more.
Right, you get a kit in the box with flex blocks, and you can drop those into the back spines of the boot to increase the flex to as much as almost 115 or so.
Okay, so that's pretty stiff as a women's
Right.
boot goes. So describe the customer for this boot, the perfect customer.
This is the athletic, aggressive, all-mountain woman who will go out and hit the toughest stuff on the hill. I mean, this is really a ripping boot.
All right, this is for a serious, hardcore woman skier.
Yeah, who needs a lower volume fit.
Well, thanks, Ray, for all that information,
You bet.
and thanks for joining us on Ski Talk.